This podcast is proud to be part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. talkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello and welcome to this morning's edition of Red Side of the Trent, coming to you after the Reds were defeated yesterday evening by Sunderland by 1-0. Bit of a makeshift lineup this weekend because Adam is doing the Robin Hood Marathon, which we wish him the best of luck, raising money for his charity. And I'm joined this morning by Christian Brown, who's going to do all the buttons for me because I can't see anything apart from the recording at the minute. And we're also joined by Alex. So, gentlemen, how are we?
I'll let Alex go first.
Could be better. And I'm joining you from a damp Sainsbury's car park, which is still far more entertaining than what we watched yesterday. So, yeah.
Well, I put in his group chat, didn't we, asking for people to come on this morning, and most seemed hesitant, which was a surprise after, it was a defeat last night against the odds as well. But we'll get into it anyway. So the lineup, there was 5 changes from the Europa League game, 2 from the last Premier League game, which was at Burnley. So Dominguez come in for his first start of the season, so great to see him back. Backwell, Ndoye, McAtee and Chris Wood all in, who captained the side. What did you make of the lineup, Christian?
It was an interesting lineup, yeah. I mean, obviously it was great to see Dominguez come back. His availability, obviously, was, initially we were told the prognosis was November, wasn't it? It would be likely to see him at the earliest. So the fact he's back 2 months ahead of schedule was very good. I was a bit surprised to see Eagle start after his antics against Betis. But again, with the striking options we've got, wasn't too upset to see Wood start. The guy got 20 league goals last season. You back him to score if his chances come his way. Obviously, it wasn't the case yesterday, unfortunately. The interesting one for me was McAtee. I assumed Hutchinson would be a shoo-in to start on the right flank. I thought that was pretty much locked in. Given back was starting in midweek, and he won't have much other opportunities now because we're out the cup. But yeah, I was a bit surprised to see McAtee coming for Gibbs White. But again, I suppose you're sort of managing minutes or whatever else. And yeah, that was obviously Doy coming on the left as well. Again, I didn't think Hudson-Odoi did anything wrong to be dropped, but it just felt like a bit like a rotational sort of Forest rather than a full strength Forest. And I suppose this is the double-edged sort of sword of football, isn't it, really? Because obviously you live and die by your decisions. If Forest had won yesterday, we'd have been saying, it was an Ange masterclass to sort of, rotate the pack a bit and get a result. But because we've lost, naturally it's like the league's our bread and butter. Why are you resting key players? Why haven't you gone full strength? Especially when you got Midtjylland on Thursday, who by all accounts are nowhere near as strong as Betis. So yeah, it was quite a bit to unpack, but initially I looked at that team and thought there's probably enough there to make something happen at least, or to sort of be competitive in the game. So yeah, it was just a bit of a shame of how it all sort of went from that point.
Well, what did you make of the lineup, Alex? Was you happy with it?
No, I expected changes, but I did think that McAtee was a bit of a strange one. Like Christian said, I sort of expected Hutchinson to start as well. With him being thoroughly rested because obviously he's not in the Europa League squad. But sort of, I did see McAtee coming in because Gibbs White obviously played. I can't remember how long he played. It was like 70 minutes in Spain. So I sort of saw that one coming, but yeah, for the life of me, I can't believe Igor Jesus hasn't started. I get he played on Thursday, but it's not like he's started every game this season. He's got to be sort of one of the ones that are one of the fittest in the squad currently. But yeah, like Christian said, great to see Dominguez back. Way ahead of schedule because I think we'll definitely be needing bodies in midfield, especially if Louise is out for whatever amount of time. Really hoping that's not too serious. Yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought it may be enough to get the job done, but yeah, obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I thought it was strange not to start Jesus with him in form. 4 goals in his 2 start. I mean, Dominguez in from the start. That kind of says a lot, really, about Yates, doesn't it? Because he's been fit all season, and he's bringing in a centre mid who's not kicked a ball yet ahead of him. Obviously, Sangare played in midweek, so I'll leave him out of that one. And yeah, it was a bit of an odd side. Do you think that might have given them a boost, seeing that Sunderland, because I know we've said Gibbs White this season hasn't been at his best, which he hasn't. But if you're obviously from the outside looking in, you probably name Forest's top 3 players. I think most people would say Gibbs White, for example. Do you think that would have given Sunderland a bit of a boost to see that side rotated a bit? It's similar to when Lamouchi did it when we beat Leeds, and then we played Charlton. He rotated the side, and I get it because of the Europa League, and then we lost 1-0, very obviously like last night. Or do you think I'm just surmising there?
I think that it's interesting because obviously when the transfer window shut, we all said that this wouldn't be a problem anymore. The players that we signed and the caliber of players that we signed, we said that they should be more than sufficient enough to come in. McAtee's played 50 odd games in the Premier League, for example, for Man City and Sheffield United. He's contributed in several different ways. The notion of him starting the game, yeah, okay, you could say Gibbs White's, and rightfully so, he's one of our most prominent and most well-known players, and best players especially. But the idea of playing McAtee instead, it's not like you're going from Ribeiro to Gate and Bong like it was in back then, for example. These aren't bad players coming in. So I seem to be looking at Forest and thinking that's a pretty stacked squad all the same. So, but I guess it might have caused them some sort of thing like, oh, okay, he's not playing, that's good. But it's not like they're bad players coming in. So not entirely sure yet.
Okay. Well, the early stage didn't produce much apart from Sunderland having a couple of yellow cards, and obviously Forest doing a Forest, which was get players on yellow cards and then never seem to go anywhere near them again. But 36 minutes on the clock is when the game's talking point occurred. So Nico Dominguez has towed the ball away. I think it was Hume, wasn't it? He's put his leg up at the same time to obviously try and block the ball. Dominguez has then gone down in a heap. The referees at first looked like he's waved to play on, and then decided, actually, I'm going to pull that up for a dive in the middle of the pitch. Give Dominguez a yellow card. Because I thought at first it might have been if he gestured to book him and he's done it for that reason, but he hasn't. And then from the resulting free kick, Forest completely switch off, and Sunderland then bundle the ball in. But so we'll start with the Dominguez incident, Alex. What did you make of that?
Load of absolute horse crap. It's one of them decisions that you've never seen before and you'll never see again. It's like the Palace free kick on opening day. It's like you'll never see it implemented again. I honestly was baffled. I thought he booked Hume for a high foot, but then he sort of sprayed the foam on the floor and we went, oh, it's their free kick. Like, what's going on here? But yeah, I mean, it's all avoidable, isn't it? Like, really, you set yourself up properly for a set piece in that situation, and it's fine. You get the first contact on it, but you don't. I mean, I'm not completely blaming Postecoglou for this, but Spurs fans said that set piece goals were a massive, massive weakness for them, and we've conceded what was it, 3 or 4 already? Arsenal, you could sort of let fly because are they really his ideas, leaving a man open on the edge of the box? No. Swansea is the same situation as Arsenal. Obviously, with it being second phase, he's picked up the ball on the edge of the box. He's had a crack and it's fallen to him. This one was just a lacking concentration from absolutely everybody. We didn't switch on, and we paid the ultimate price for it by going 1-0 down. And so after that goal went in, I just had a feeling that that's how it'd stay. I had a feeling from minute one that the first goal was going to win that game. And it's how it transpired. But yeah, like I say, that for me, it's a shocking decision. Like, let's be honest, I will be very, very surprised if you see it in another Premier League game this season, something like that. Because 9 times out of 10, if a player goes in with a foot, sort of groin high, like onto a player, it doesn't matter if it's foot, shin, ankle. It doesn't matter. It's a foul to the bloke who's just poked the ball away. He's obviously not dived. You can see the contact on it. He's kicked the bottom of his foot. Like, what else do we need from that situation? But yeah, it's a honking decision. But we really should have switched on ultimately from the set piece.
I mean, for me, like, the contact is minimal, and I don't mind the referee saying there, no, get up, but we play on. I've never seen that unless it's like in a box, because, and I've seen Sunderland fans saying, oh yeah, it's a great decision. Well, it happened 2 times more in the game yesterday where Hume pulled in back, which should have been a free kick. He went down, the ref played on, waved it away, played on. There's a Sunderland player second half, went down, a bit of contact, referee waved it away, played on. So I'm not sure why it's been blown up for a free kick there. I mean, what do you agree with Alex, Christian, in regards to that whole incident, or what's your take on it?
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I mean, he's right. You won't see that again. It kind of reminds me of the. I mean, this is technically the correct decision, I suppose, but it reminds me of Martinelli getting 2 yellow cards against Wolves for 2 yellow actions within the space of like 10 seconds. You'll never see it happen again, but it is, it's just bizarre. Like, you're right. Like, every time it happens, the ref says either get up or it's a foul to the other team. I've never once seen it before where that player's been kicked, has been penalised. You can argue the contact's minimal, the Mingos, whatever, fine. It's still a foul. So, yeah, to see it go the other way was just bizarre. But it's just, again, you sort of, after the last few seasons, nothing surprises me with these referees anymore. It's just farcical at times, but equally, as stupid as the decision was, you have to take ownership yourself. Set pieces have become a key issue again, like as we all knew they would be when we hired Ange. This is one of the things that we highlighted. Spurs from set pieces last season were an absolute joke. There's no if buts or papers about it. It was the same in his first season as well. So that's not going to change. And obviously, we sort of thought we put sort of tape over the top of it with Milenkovic, but clearly that's not working anymore either, because we're not even tracking runners anymore. What I will say though is that as good as he's been, and I know he's got a lot of credit in the bank as well, Sales has to do a lot better for that for me. It's straight at him and it's just gone through him. I think that's really poor goalkeeping personally. But it's the architecture of our own downfall from the minute that ball's come in. It's a simple ball into the back post. It's not even, it's not like it's like we look at it, some like Beckham-esque ping that's defied all sort of logic and completely undone defensive line. It's a simple ball over the top. There's no skill involved in that. We just think we've completely done all ends up by it. That is very concerning. And, these are footballing basics. This isn't anything to do with Ange needing more time on a training ground or anything like that. These are simple footballing basics. You track your runners. You don't just stand still and watch as the ball goes over your head. That's concerning for me. Very concerning.
Yeah, I've just seen like Nate's comment in the comments saying coaches probably not even had time to work on crosses, set pieces. But like you said, it's just
Sunday League level. You do that.
Yeah. Well, that should be embedded because of the work Nuno did with set pieces. You don't all of a sudden switch off, do you? That's that is poor from the players, and Ange can't do anything about that. I mean, because we lost his heads in that moment because we wasn't happy with the decision, is the truth, and we just lost concentration. And
we saw it, but Milenkovic getting booked straight after the goal.
Yeah.
Like just remonstrating with the referee, arguing why you can argue the toss, yeah, fine, but he ain't going to change his mind now, is he? No. So, what I would say, you can also argue. I mean, if you're like clutching at straws, you could argue Williams was fouled. Actually, to be fair, because he's clearly held back and sort of pushed over. I think had that being Forest, the way our luck feels at the minute, that goal probably gets disallowed for a foul. It just feels like we just have no rubber green whatsoever at the minute. It's like, we could pick up a £20 note off the floor, we'll go to the shop and be told it's a fake. That's the way it feels at the minute. It's just nothing is going right.
Yeah, well, obviously, we went in at half-time 1-0 down. The boos were mainly for the referee, weren't they? I'd imagine, because, that, like we said, that decision is strange. Second half, I think we all thought Forest would come out the blocks quick. We didn't at all. I just thought we just didn't look bothered really at the start of the second half. And then we do get a little bit of momentum at times. We create a few chances. I mean, 22 shots we had yesterday, only 6 on target. The best chance, Alex, comes towards the end of the game where there's a ball from I think it's Hutchinson who whips it into on the money for Chris Wood, free header, which he had 3 of them yesterday. Didn't hit the target with either. I mean, what do you make of that chance?
Like you said, he had 3 of them yesterday. That was reminiscent of Chris Wood against Chelsea last game of last season. Doesn't matter what he did, just could not get the ball on target. Doesn't mean he's a crap player overnight. But yeah, I think Wood's one of them that once he gets a goal, is one of them that will probably follow it up with 3 or 4 in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we're so sort of down on luck at the minute that I thought Jesus, you had to start him. It's really going back to that again. You sort of, in our situation at the minute, you have to play the players that are firing for you. And a player that scored 4 goals in 2 starts, granted 2 against Swansea, but then 2 in the Europa League as well, against arguably one of the hardest places to go in the Europa League. He had to start for me. Like I say, it doesn't mean Wood's crap. I mean, you don't go from 20 goals last season to immediately just being a complete, useless sack of rubbish. But yeah, I mean, it's a great ball in from Hutchinson as well. It's whipped with pace. All he needs to do is guide it, and either guide it or put it back where it came from towards the goal. That's literally it, and it beats the keeper. All ends up, and we sort of walk away with a point. Going, we were unlucky, but we've come away with a point. It's not the end of the world, but it's one of them days for Wood. Like it was one of those days for a lot of players out there. Yeah, I'm not singling him out. But yeah, he has to do better. There were 2, I believe, in front of Bridgeford stand as well. One ball whipped in by Nico. I think the other was from Bakwa that he's just ballooned straight over the bar. But yeah, not his day, but doesn't mean he's crap.
No, I mean not to hit the target on any of them, especially that last one is poor. Like you said, Alex, the pace and that was on the ball, and the run was perfect from him. He met it well, and he just got it all wrong, didn't he? So yeah, not ideal, but we huffed and puffed 6 minutes of injury time, and obviously Sunderland held out for the 3 points. So credit, you got to give credit to them because they come and did what they needed to do. Comment here, Adam Alexander, still only early, we're not putting the chances away. I'd be more worried if we weren't creating anything. Pat Brett, I think the camaraderie that Nuno fostered in the right squad last season has been lost, and it took us a long way last season. Graham Hedworth, we are not too big or too good to go down. We are woeful. We had time to create something and did not. And Benny Branco, we really miss Douglas Luiz and many players' qualities right now too varying. Yeah, that's fair enough. Just before we do move on to some slept on it thoughts, what have come through on Twitter. We'll talk about Ange because he did. We'll be honest here. He did come in, and a lot of fans didn't want him. It was a very controversial appointment. I said at the time that I would kind of look at where he was at the end of September when he's had the 5 games he's had. I mean, Arsenal, let's be honest, was and any manager that would be very tough. But then we look at the games, and we'll take Betis out of it because first Europa League game against a decent opposition, but Swansea away in the cup against a championship side with 2-0 up, and then we've been beat 3-2. Now, Burnley, to be fair, they took Liverpool all the way, but Liverpool found a way to beat them. I think everybody on this pod, for example, had Burnley going down away from home, and then Sunderland at home, where Sunderland, again, have started pretty well, but a newly promoted side at home. against a side who spent a lot of money, finished 7th last season. Forest are going to be favourites for that game. And I'm not going to say we'd expect to beat them, but we know it's going to be a tough game and we've got to work hard to beat them. We know we're not entitled enough to think that we'll just turn up and roll them over. I mean, what do you make of Ange's start, Christian, in terms as a whole? Are you, because it's very easy now to say people are obviously very unsure and concerned, rightly so. And then there's a bit of a kind of divide, really, because some people saying we need patience. Others are like, look, this is the wrong appointment and it's really concerning. Where are you on it all?
I mean, from day one, I feel it was a bad appointment. I mean, as we all said in the pod at the time, I mean, I know the Australian watchers won't like to hear this very much, but, he wouldn't have even been in my top 10, top 20 picks to have faced Nuno. I think, there are several issues at hand. What Nuno did is inexplicable, really, because he's smashed the self-destruct button on his own. He's the one who's put us in this situation. You can argue the toss about what you like about Edu and whatnot and players and whatnot, but the players that we've signed aren't bad players. There's no disputing about that. I don't think. I think that we're all very happy to see them all come in. There was no one really. You can maybe say about the Botafogo boys who no one really knew a lot about, but you look at the squad between when the window closed and when the season ended, and it's significantly better. So it just felt like a lot of crying over spilt milk with Nuno, and it's sort of escalated to the point that he basically asked for his own sacking, which he eventually got. The issue is Marinakis has basically hired his mate, and yesterday, even if I agree this stat is slightly inflated because of the Arsenal game, but it's 1 win in 16 domestic fixtures for Ange now in England. Tell me what manager would survive that.
You can't argue against that record. And like I said this morning on Twitter, last season, I do think he did toss the Premier League off. But
he's been charged with £1 billion institution, Reiss. It's not like he's managing Ipswich Town. Ipswich only lost 2 more games than they did.
Let me finish my point. But last season he could afford to do that because the bottom 3 was that bad. This season,
is also true.
Isn't going to happen.
No, it's
it
not.
Ain't going to happen this season. We've seen it already. Everyone's competitive in this league this season. Leeds, who we all thought, didn't have a squad. I think they've got 8 points already. Sunderland are now on 11 points. Burnley, I think, have got 4 or 5 and took the champions all the way the other week, got a point against us, for example. Scored at Manchester City, for example, yesterday. So, carry on as you was.
I don't see a world in which it works, unfortunately. I mean, you can say what you like, and there is things that are true. Like, the first half against Betis, for example, was exceptional. But, we are making more chances, that is true, but it means that I see the argument in that, I'd rather be creating too many chances and not scoring than creating nothing and also not scoring. But it just feels like, as I said before, we aren't a fan base that's going to be patient. Like, we wouldn't give Iraola 8-9 games to sort of get his feet under the table. And, when they lost 8 of them, for example, Bournemouth, they were fine with that because obviously they could see a work in progress. Can we see a significant work in progress so far? We've seen flashes, we've seen glimpses. We've also seen extremes on both ends of the scale, really, like the Swansea game you alluded to. Throwing a 2-goal lead away against them is inexcusable. Doesn't matter who's on the pitch. It was, given the time frame that we had left in the match as well. I've seen it again today. The Premier League sort of they put a save comp of the Sunderland goalkeeper. We saw it last week with the Burnley one as well. But you actually look at the chances. There's maybe 4 saves out the 15 that you look at and think, oh, okay, that's a good save. Everything else is what you'd expect a Premier League stopper to make.
Yeah, every save on that one. And the Sunderland keeper played well, he did, but every save on that compilation today, I'd expect a National League goalkeeper to save.
Exactly. So are we actually making chances then? Or are we just sort of like shooting for the sake of shooting? This is what I mean. It's so difficult. I mean, I wanted it to work because obviously I want Forest to succeed. I don't want us to be in a relegation fight by any stretch of imagination, but I just don't see a world in which it does work. I don't know at what point is going to be too far. He obviously is going to need time. But there's so many caveats either side of the coin. It's like, but is do you give time to someone who is very clearly out of his depth at Premier League level and hope it gets better, or do you just sort of go, yeah, he's a manager, we back him regardless? We've needlessly put ourselves into a very difficult situation, Forest, because I mean, I saw it last night. There are people who I thought were normally quite measured who are significantly angrier than I am about Ange, demanding him to go already, saying like it's done, it's like, cut it now, pull the cord now, get someone else in. Can you imagine doing that like, after what 6 games? Is that really what we've come to?
It's crazy.
Like it says a lot about the feeling amongst the fan base for him. Really, I just don't see a world in which it gets better because every loss is going to be greeted like this, and we don't know what win's going to be like under him yet. So it's poor given the fixtures we've had, a championship side in the cup, two newly promoted teams in the league. To not win any of those 3 games is really bad, in my opinion. And yeah, we've got Midtjylland on Thursday. We might win that. Great. Like you said to us yesterday, the league's our bread and butter, and it's a much more competitive league this year. We could very easily get sucked into something we don't want to get sucked into.
Yeah, this is why I said when he got appointed, I'd see where we are kind of at the end of September after he's had some games, because we'll come on to the fixtures soon in a minute, but you just, like, you look at them Burnley and Sunderland games and think at a very, very minimum, Forest want to be getting 4 points out of them. And if say, for example, we win last night, that puts us pretty much 11th and we're halfway, and we're thinking, okay, not amazing, but we're halfway, and you don't want to be down at the bottom at any stage of the season. And then obviously to only get, 1 point out of that, the 6, Alex, and then you were looking, Midtjylland in midweek is, again, let's be honest, is a game at home we should be winning. Nah, I'm not saying we turn up like it earlier and we just roll and we just think, yeah, we'll beat these, no problem. We're going to have to work for it because they're going to come. They're probably going to sit in a low block. They've got European experience because they're usually in and around competitions, Midtjylland. But then you look at like the Premier League games coming up. So obviously it's Newcastle away a week today, which we've then got an international break. Now, the fans who saying to be a little bit patient, that does give Ange some time on the training ground, which, to be fair, with the fixtures we've had in quick succession, he's not had a lot of. But then we come back after the international break, and to end the month of October, Chelsea at home, Porto at home, and Bournemouth away, who are our bogey side after a Europa League night on a Thursday night. Does it concern you then, Premier League fixtures coming up, where we kind of look at and think, I'm not sure where the next point comes from?
We get beat by Chelsea and we get beat by Bournemouth. Honestly, I was looking.
What about Newcastle?
You know me. I've missed what I can count on one hand the amount of away games I've missed since COVID restrictions, and I don't want to go next weekend. I just don't want to go. I don't want to make the effort. I made so much of an effort in Spain in midweek. I'm drained at the minute, and I went last night. I couldn't even be asked to care. I was looking at the fixtures yesterday. I genuinely don't see a domestic point until we play Wolves. That's what.
Man U and Leeds, not even them two.
Mate, again, I watched Leeds. I saw Leeds highlights versus Wolves the other day. I mean, they're in turmoil. I mean, again, Leeds against Bournemouth as well. They looked fine. They looked like a good cohesive unit. They look sort of everything that we don't at the minute. Nothing's to say that we don't get to the international break and sort of Ange turns a corner. I'm really, really hoping that it happens, but at this current time, I just can't see it. I mean, we're creating chances, but we're not putting any away. That's fine if you're solid defensively, but we're not. We're shipping goals in. I mean, I've made my thoughts very, very clear on this inverting wingback experiment crap. Yeah, Zinchenko is playing as a striker for half the game. The bloke is a left back. He's a left back that can't defend. He doesn't defend. There was a time yesterday where Isidore was 10 yards, probably more than that, behind him. Zinchenko looked like he was sprinting towards it. Isidore just knocked him out of the way and just picked up the ball. Mate, you're a defender. if you're a slight winger doing that, you can like, well, it is what it is. But I've tried to find positives in every single one of Ange's games so far, and yesterday was. I had nothing. I had absolutely no positives whatsoever. I couldn't pinpoint anything. Possibly Amari Hutchinson's 10-15 minute cameo. That's it. But like I say, I think it's best getting to the international break, sort of having a week off, hitting a hard reset, let them have some time together, and sort of see what happens after that. But at this current moment in time, I can't see much improving.
Just a comment there from Fredrickson. Seen the light yet, Reiss? I didn't want Ange, mate, so I'm not sure on that comment. But moving on. But I mean, for me, like the problem is now you're looking at the fixtures ahead, and we're not going to be favourites in them, and you're looking at pulling a rabbits out of the hat, aren't we? Like we did when Nuno come in, when we went to Newcastle against the Grain and won. That is something that you're going to be looking at a week today, isn't it? But yeah, not ideal. But we'll move on with some slept on it thoughts anyway. So play the jingle, please.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Right, I'll quickly run through these. So, Johnny Antcliffe, this team reeks of relegation. Jesus. Give Ange till the November international break, then assess the situation. Can't sack him after 5 games. Forest fan family, slept on it, still fuming. It was horrible to watch. I never wanted Ange, and that is why. Last year, Spurs could prioritise Europa over the league because the 3 promoted teams so poor. Yeah, I said that. That's not the case this year, and relegation is a very real threat if this continues. Mark first, 65 minutes, complete garbage. Dominguez thrown straight in, baffling, clearly not ready. I do agree with that. McAtee showed why Morgan Gibbs White has played so much, as like fans calling for him to be dropped. Agree with that as well. Very poor. Zinchenko is a baffling footballer, isn't and never been a left back, concerned by lack of fullbacks. Tom Newton, poor, pathetic goal to concede, absolute bobbins defending. After that, nothing ever worked. We had 2 wingers who refused to attack their fullback until Hutchinson and Cho came on. Ange needs to win sooner, or the crowd will turn quickly and it will be toxic and unenjoyable. I think, to be honest, by the end, it was that yesterday. Mark Baker, no need to sleep on it. We're sacrificing the Premier League and everything we've achieved just to try and win the Europa League with a manager whose only tactic is to chuck everyone forward like an under-11 side. I've seen, honestly enough, and it's going to end in tears. Been it too many changes plus Euro fatigue. Morgan Gibbs White can't do 2 games a week. Anderson lacks spark. Both wingers are ineffective. Midfield crowded. Sunderland cut through a little too easily. Classic Ange setup. No sugarcoating it. Very poor. Rob, players have been shocking. Way below standard since the end of last season, start of 2025. New players need time. It's the players that had us third the most of last season. Never wanted Ange, but you can't blame the manager for not finishing your dinner these last 4 games. Davey, all we do is hoof it into the box. Hasn't worked the last few matches. I must say the crossing was abysmal yesterday. It really was. Zinchenko needs to get his loan terminated. Would rather see Yates at left back. Oh dear. Ipswich is laughing all the way to bank with the Hutchinson money. I think Hutchinson come on and did well, but we haven't seen really much at him at the minute. Anna, Hutchinson was the only positive, and we only looked likely to score when he came on. The other wingers looked scared to take on the fullbacks. Agree with that. Too many sideways, backwards balls, slowing any momentum. Frustrating, and I'm very worried we are meandering into a relegation battle. Capacity and function. 5 home wins in 2025. The City ground is no longer a fortress. Good stat that in terms of making it known. Ange's on a hard into nothing. This is his pre-season, but not his squad. He's culpable for today because he knew he couldn't oversee a performance like that, yet he did. You can't disrespect the league. Carl Boo, we look like a team without an identity. 1-1 against Betis is the best with mustard under Ange. Lacked in so many areas today and moved the ball so slow. Whatever the style is, we don't look comfortable with it. And Zinchenko is gash at defending. Josh Part's awful defending for the goal. It's like the last 18 months under Nuno have been forgotten. In terms of Ange, he's hanging by a thread already with this poor start. James, Spurs 2.0. Ange will be out by Christmas. Someone remind me what's the definition of insanity. And finally, NFFC Red still can't believe that we made that many changes. We'll quickly do some. Are you okay to do another 10 minutes, Christian? Yeah. We'll quickly run through some player performances, guys. So we'll quickly just run through these because we have covered. Well, in fact, we've kind of covered Wood and Zinchenko, haven't we? So I'll leave them two out. So I'll give you one each. And I'll give you the first winger, which is Dylan Backer, Christian.
Backer or Dama Diakaba yesterday. I mean, that's a bit harsh because new players are going to need time, as one of those comments did say. But given that this is apparently a target 2 years in the making, given that there's a lot of fanfare of his arrival, apart from against the Championship sides, I've yet to really see it with Bakwa. I thought he was ineffective against Betis. I thought he was very ineffective against Burnley. Okay, a bit unlucky with the effort that Bravka saved, but fine. He was terrible yesterday. There's no getting away from it. Absolutely terrible. Reasonably, like you said, was obviously there was that ball that obviously found Woods fine, but just reluctance to attack his man. The concern for me is that these players already look underconfident. I know they're coming into a pressure cooker. We know they're coming into, Forest are a big club, big expectations. That is the truth. We always have been, we always will be. Those 2 stars above our badge are both a blessing and a curse because it means that we could be in the National League and still be seen as a big fish and still have expectation, even that's not necessarily fair. That's just the way we are as a club. But you saw it Cali Mwendo against Betis as well. That first, trampoline touch when he could have made it 3-1. Backward looks exactly the same now. Won't be helped by the fact as well that Hutchinson came on and looks about 10 times the player as well. So, yeah, bad day at the office for him. Again, I don't want to be too critical of these new boys too early, just because it's not an ideal situation for them to come into. You sign for one manager, you get another, who both of which are at complete other ends of the footballing spectrum in terms of how they see the game. But yeah, yesterday was poor as a passenger, and you can't carry passengers at this level. Sunderland will be looking at that and thinking, if this is what we're going to get against him, this is meat and drink. It's no surprise that you can hold a player at arm's length easily. It's no surprise when Hutchinson came on, suddenly they look terrified because he's swinging rockets in for Woods and getting shots on goal away and making things happen, do all the things Backwell should have been doing but wasn't. So yeah, bad day. Wasn't alone, but certainly one of the more prominent ones that stood out was the weak link on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised Hutchinson didn't start yesterday because he can't play Thursday. If he could play Thursday, then fair enough. But yeah, and I did say that before the game as well.
Can I just chime in something on Backward there? There was a time in the first half where he was running back towards his own goal and he looked knackered. He looked so laboured. I can't remember. Honestly, I think it was about 35, 40 minutes in and he looked absolutely shattered. The bloke, it's not like he's been pulling out full 90s for the last 3-4 weeks. He's been playing. He's been a bit part player, which sort of leads me to think, are they being completely flogged in training, or has Wednesday night, just taken everything out of that side? But there were players that played the full 90 on Wednesday that looked absolutely fine. Nico, the bloke's got an unbelievable engine on him. He's played 90 minutes pretty much every game this season, and he looks ready to, I pointed him out yesterday. He looks ready to go again and again and again. His standards aren't dropping, and I think if the rest of the squad sort of take heed of that, we'd be in a much better position than what we are currently. But yeah,
do you think that's down to the pace of the Premier League? Like the likes of Backward have obviously come from League One. Let's be honest, it's not the Premier League. Obviously Nico's established in the Prem now, so he knows how the game works. Do you think the Premier League, because it is a very early days, and I do agree that he seemed to use more of his energy trying to whip up the crowd, and then decided he just wouldn't take anybody on, and it was just very strange. And like you say, Alex, it got towards the end, and then he just looked shot, didn't he? Do you think, because we've all played football before, sometimes you play football against better quality and you just can't get with the pace of the game because it's just too quick for you? Do you think that might be for it?
I feel it, but again, he's up against a left back that's barely played this season in Masuaku, who hasn't played in the Premier League since he left in 2020. Was it? He left West Ham, something like that. I don't know. He left years ago. But yeah, got him on a yellow card and just refused to go at him. But I just don't. I don't think there's much of an excuse for. I get the pace of play in the Premier League it's so much quicker than pretty much any other league. But if you were to compare it to a European league, France is probably the closest for sort of pace and intensity. Like, he shouldn't be looking absolutely shattered by 35, 40 minutes. I understand that we've had a midweek game, and then obviously we've had the Burnley game last week, and he started that. Like Christian said, I thought he was laboured there. He didn't look great against Betis when he came on. And I thought he looked absolute tosh yesterday, but it's one of those things. I think a lot of these players, your Calamuendos, your backwards, they're lacking confidence. They need something to go for them. I think if Backwell walked off with an assist yesterday because of Wood's header, I think it'd fire him up for the next couple of weeks, but it hasn't transpired. And to quote a daft man, it is what it is.
I think, to be honest, the more sorry to interject, Reiss, very quickly. We need something from somewhere, and it doesn't really matter how it comes. I mean, obviously, there's no guarantee we'll beat Midtjylland. So I'm pretty sure Philip Billing plays for Midtjylland now, so he's undoubtedly going to score against us. There'll be no clean sheet on Thursday, but
from 50 yards it'll be as well.
Yeah, literally. If we can find a way to win that game, it'll just give some boost, because, as we said earlier, these next 3 fixtures, don't want to write them off, but I agree with you, Reiss. I don't see where points coming from, not anything else. But confidence plays a big part in football. We never know, it's on its day, sort of thing. If they can just get something, some just grain of green that might come against Midtjylland. So let's say we beat them 3-1, for example, and Calamuendo scores, or Backward gets an assist, or has a hand in a goal, or something like that. You just need something like that to just sort of you remind yourself you're here for a reason. There's a fundamental reason why you're playing for Nottingham Forest and why the club have sanctioned these fees on you. Well, you just need it from somewhere. I just don't know how or where it's going to come from.
I mean, there is going to be a bedding in period with some of these players, unfortunately, which just obviously, how starting the league is like why we're concerned, isn't it? It was very similar to that first season, isn't it, when Marinakis sacked Sirianos because the players he brought in started off pretty poorly, and then we actually had a phase in the season where it was like, well, actually they're pretty good, and we're now starting to show why we brought him, and Sirianos come back. So there is going to be, I think, a little bit of a bedding in period. We'll just speak about just before we come out. Yes, Fred, the simulations tactics in inverted commas have been discussed. You can rewatch that back after we've done the pod. Chatting on the other winger, Alex, you're starting, Danny Doyle. What did you make of his performance yesterday?
Well, he's had a rough couple of weeks as well, hasn't he? He wasn't great against Burnley. I think Walker had him absolute tied in knots. I think that he was just physically just a complete mismatch. But I thought he was better first half yesterday. There were 1 or 2 times where he'd taken Hume to the byline and got a delivery in. Yeah, no one's there, but again, the sort of intent
just poor
is
decision
there.
making, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the intent for him is there. I think he's a lot better on the ball than people are giving credit for as well. He keeps the ball surprisingly well. He's almost like Hudson-Odoi at that point, because there was one time, I think. Zinchenko had pinged it up to him. He'd sort of chested it. He chested it round a Sunderland player, knocked it through another one, and then passed it off to Wood, who eventually lost the ball with a stray pass. But things like that, I mean, keeping us further up the pitch in that first half was good. Second half, I think he just stopped doing it for some reason. I don't know if I don't know if Hume had his card marked, but yeah, it just didn't seem to transpire for him in the second half. And, Hudson-Odoi come on and sort of did what Odoi was doing in the first half, but with better effect for me. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't terrible, wasn't great, sort of just a middle of the road 5, really.
I think again, very quickly, talking about the luck of the green sort of thing. I thought Doyle was quite unfortunate with that deflection. It just went past the post at the end of the first
Yeah.
half. I think on another day that probably finds the bottom corner. Keeper's got
Mm.
no chance. It's completely rooted. It's just very typical.
Yeah.
It's like, you remember we had Chelsea that first season up when Gibbs White,
Yeah, hit
blitzed
the
it over
bar.
someone's head and crashed it off the bar,
Mm.
and that they've had was it Bolly's banged it against his own bar pretty much. It's come straight to Sterling, who's tapped it in. It feels a bit like that again in a minute.
Mm. This is a very good point. Just before we do round off the pod with speaking about Midtjylland on Thursday from Dan, change the subject, but something bugging me today is why, if Dominguez was fit to start yesterday, why didn't he come on for Louise against Betis rather than change the system when we were so on top? I think that's a fair point, but yeah, unfortunately that's gone. But before we do play Newcastle a week today in the Premier League, we do have our first European game at the City Ground since 1996, since Bayern Munich visited Trent side. We won't say what the score was that night, but it was a bit of a battering. Midtjylland from Denmark visit. So just looking through their squad, so players you might know. We've mentioned Philip Billing, who's very much on the Forest nemesis list, but they've also got Mads Sorensen, who was at Brentford a couple of seasons ago. Kevin Mbabu had a loan spell at Fulham. He's a Swiss international. I think FIFA players will know him with the dreadlocks. I think that is it. I don't recognise anybody else, but they actually won their first game in the Europa League, which was against another one of our opponents, Sturm Graz, to beat them 2-0 the other night. What's your thoughts, guys, heading into this one? I mean, for me, the minimum is a win. that goes without saying. I mean, we're all looking forward to it, but it's just obviously yesterday's taken the shine off it a little bit because, like I said, the Premier League is his bread and butter. What's your thoughts of it, Christian, going into Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, I actually watched a little bit of I watched about 50 minutes of the Midtjylland Sturm Graz game, so it was on TNT3.
You've been
And in my
starting them.
Yeah, in my what's it, Europa League sort of haze of Forest being back in it, I sort of try to absorb as much as possible. So treating it as a bit of a scouting trip. There are no great shakes, Midtjyllands. They didn't look particularly, nothing to be like. They sort of seem like your average sort of Conference League knockouts, Europa League group phase team, which is still quite impressive given obviously the size of the nation and whatever else. But they've come a long way since causing United problems with Van Gaal was there, for example. But we should be beating them. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about it. I'm not going to use Elliot's term of it being a winnable game because obviously all games are winnable, including the next three that we have in the league. As difficult as that is to believe right now, but they are. But we need to be winning this game. I think I normally against sort of saying like must-win games, especially this early in the season, but given the moods is borderline toxic now, and you saw that at full time yesterday pretty much. Ange needs a win. We need a win. I don't care how it comes or who it comes against. We need something. And Midtjylland on Thursday, like I said, first European game at the City Ground in 30 years. There'll be no better opportunity. Hopefully we can get the job done. There's no reason why we can't. There's no reason why we shouldn't. If we make hard work of that, then knives really will start to come out, I think, for Ange, because that will be okay. Yeah, we are in trouble now then. But for what I think will happen, I think we'll be fine. I think I'll go 3-1 Forest.
3-1.
Because Billing will score. That's going to happen. So
from 50 yards as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just to quickly before I come to you, Alex, just to talk about them a bit more. So they played 9 games so far in the Danish league. They are third. With 18 points, 2 points off top. Strangely, this is vastly strange. They play tomorrow night in the league. So they've got the side who are 5th tomorrow in Randers. So that's very, very odd. And then obviously they come to us on Thursday night. And then on Sunday, so a week today, they have Copenhagen, who are actually the top of the league at the minute. And I believe we're their champions because they're in the Champions League.
Yes.
Copenhagen. Scott McKenna's there, isn't he?
He is.
Or was there. He's gone to Zagreb now. He was there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So their schedule is very packed as well. So that should be something that works in our favour. Alex, what's your thoughts, mate, on the game Thursday night?
Yeah, God bless Scott McKenna. He's been doing the tour de Europe, hasn't he? Bloody hell. Like Christian said, I think the club needs a win. Ange needs a win. going back to the what you were saying about Nuno when he was appointed, he bought himself some time by winning a couple of football games, and I mean, if Ange, I think he'll buy himself some, a small amount of time, depending on how we win on Wednesday night. If we scrape past sort of 1-0, we go, are we in trouble or not? Because they are a team that we should be beating comfortably. I think any other Premier League team in European football beats them comfortably. But yeah, like you say, Bridgeford and Net needs to watch out because Philip Billings rocking back up. Those top corners need to be scared. But
we need to get like the bin like they had in Soccer AM, and he'll ping one from any position in the
honestly,
city ground into it.
I swear he's done it. He's done it about 3 times against us now, twice for Bournemouth, and I remember him doing it against us for Huddersfield. Same net every time. But yeah, I mean, it's a game that really we need to be winning, but it's going to paper over some cracks. But I think that's sort of what Ange needs at the minute. I mean, putting 4 points on the board in the Europa League is it's good going. But as Christian said earlier, the Premier League needs to be our bread and butter, and that's really where we need to start picking up results. It's no good winning in the Europa League. Well, I mean, it's great, but if we're consistently losing in the Premier League, there's no point.
There's no point in being in the Champions League for in the Championship.
Yeah, it'd be some record, but but yeah, I mean, I'm going to go same as Christian. I think 3-1. A good performance and a good result more than anything is needed. I think it certainly sort of rest a little bit in my mind that the players have gained a little bit of confidence. The fans have sort of eased back a little bit, but then we've got to follow it up with something against Newcastle. Like I say, it's no good smashing Midtjylland off the park and then going to St James's Park and losing 4-5-0. It's not going to wash with this fan base, and so it shouldn't really.
Yeah, well, Alanga's no assist, no goal so far, so we know what's going to happen next Sunday.
Him against Zinchenko.
That cannot happen.
Please don't.
That Nico's got to play at left back next Sunday because that'd be a complete mismatch. But just quickly, guys, can you just give me a quick team prediction for Thursday? What you feel? Who would you like to see? Obviously, bearing in mind as well with Sunday in mind.
It's
going to be Sells and goal, isn't it?
Will it? After yesterday?
Oh, not John Victor, mate. Sells has got to play in goal.
I don't know.
He ain't fatigued, is he? He's a goalkeeper. You don't get fatigued.
I've got mine in my head if you want me to go first.
Yeah, go on, Alex.
Sells, Savona, Jai Cunha, Morato.
Cuna's not
William,
in the squad, is he?
Is not on the B list?
No.
Savona, Ollie. No, Milenkovic, Morato. Williams, Yates, who partners Yates, whether it's Anderson or whether he's giving him a rest, or Dominguez. I think it'd be good to put more minutes in his legs. Would love to see Hutchinson, but there's a small problem with that. So I'll go Bakwa, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi, Jesus.
Okay, right. I think we'll wrap it up there because we're all a bit pushed for time this morning. I think Adam will be doing a preview pod on that for Midtjylland. If you have enjoyed the pod this morning, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Sorry, it's been a bit ropey because of kind of thrown this together and just gone with the flow. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate all the comments, etc. And until next time, come on, you Reds.